Retro.
And welcome everybody to another episode of the Animanicast.
We're going to use the money to buy a Pacific island on which we will build a lair inside a live volcano. Every supervillain needs one, just like Dr. No.
Doctor Who?
No, Dr. No.
Who's a doctor?
Yes.
Doctor Yes?
No.
Oh, Doctor No.
Yes.
I don't get it.
And welcome everyone once again to yet another episode of the Animanicast. This is the podcast, of course, that's dedicated to the animated television series Animaniacs, as well as other shows within the Rueggerverse of shows, such as Tiny Toon Adventures, Pinky the Brain, and Freakazoid. But today, we're talking about yet another episode of the Animaniacs Reboot. That's right, we're talking about episode 22, aka episode 9 of the second season of the Animaniacs Reboot. We're going to talk about all the cultural references and gags that we want to talk about, and of course, in the end, we're going to give this episode a Water Tower rating. I am Joey, and joining me once again is my brother Nathan.
The segment was only supposed to be 15 seconds long.
And across the country in Georgia, there's Kelly.
Hey there.
Hello. Well, yes, today we have an episode that has it's 4 segments in this one, although 2 of them are pretty short. The first one's called What Is That? Then it's followed up by Mouse Madness. And then the segment that we had heard about a long time ago, but finally got to see, Christopher Columbusted. And then, of course, we wrap it all up with a short sort of commercial called Fake Medicines. And if someone were to ask you about this episode in just a few words, what would you tell them, Nathan?
It's all segments about people trying to figure out what something is or things are, or where something is or what something is. That's it. Every segment
everyone's
like
confused.
Yeah, just trying to figure out what something is / does.
It's just we're all just trying to figure out stuff, folks. And Kelly, what about you?
There are a lot of weird creatures in this one.
Yeah, that is true. There's creatures.
Yeah, there are. And what would you say, Joey?
I would say there are
4 segments, and
I was a little disappointed for the buildup of that Columbus one. I was a little disappointed for it, but we'll get into that. So before we do, we got to talk about, of course, when this episode first premiered. And little do many people know this, but actually, November 5th of 2021, this episode premiered. So Nathan, we got to ask you for our November 5th Facts theme song.
Woohoo! I remember a time in November. It was the 5th of the month, and I once talked to a man, and he told me this once. He said, there are facts to know, and you should tell them to the folks, and they will hear the words, and they will see the light.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
That was something.
That was like an epic,
Based on a true story.
Wow. Who are you meeting on the street?
Guy. I don't know. But yeah, something about the light. I don't know what he's talking about.
Well, Nathan, tell us, what are the November 5th facts for today?
Okay. So I tried to get these somewhat in theme of the episode. So here we go. In 1492, Christopher Columbus learns of maize or corn from the Indians of Cuba. That's right. In 1952, Basketball Hall of Famer Bill Walton was born. There's a bunch of other basketball players as well. I didn't know who to pick, but I picked him. And then also on November 5th, 1966, the second Doctor's debut in The Power of the Daleks. It's a lost episode, but that premiered at 5:49 p.m. on November 5th, 1966.
Ooh.
And then there's a bunch of other Doctor Who things because, Animaniacs is Doctor Who, right? So
the Warners are Time Lords.
The spin-off Torchwood, they had their 4th episode in 2006. There was the second. There was
shows that
Sarah
premiered
Jane
on November 5th now.
Yeah.
This is where we've gotten to.
The Sarah Jane Adventures had an episode on November 5th. And
when we run out of facts, we just start mentioning shows at some point in television history that premiered on November 5th.
There was a TV show episode that aired on that day.
Okay, well, anyway, let's go ahead and talk about today's episode. And we got to talk about, of course, the variable verse, which was definitely not Bruce Wayne.
Definitely not Bruce Wayne.
And I thought that was pretty cool. Yakko dressed up as Batman in a kind of a purpley Batman suit.
Adam West, I would assume.
Yes, like there's a thing in Adam West that had the bomb. I think in the Batman movie, right?
Yep, he's running back and forth, trying to throw it over each side, but one side has ducks and... and then he tries the other side, just going back and forth.
I'd love to see that new Batman movie have something like that, where he's about to do something, but there's a family of ducks down there, and he goes, "I can't do that."
Yeah, well, it was supposed to be funny, and it was.
The whole thing about the '60s version of Batman was it was a parody of itself. Like they were just having fun. It was almost. I mean, let's face it. It was like almost a more serious version of Freakazoid in some ways. It was. They were having fun. I did think it was kind of funny how they, I don't know why they decided to put Yakko in a purple Batman suit, because Warner Brothers owns DC and everything. You would think, like, why worry about changing the color? He almost looked like one of those variant action figures, when you're a kid and you're getting all these different Batman figures, and Batman would have different suits. And sometimes I remember there's one that was a Batman like lime green, fluorescent green Batman suit. And it was supposed to be like him as a scuba diver or something like that. And it was just like, why would Batman would never wear this outfit. Like, this is the complete opposite of what...
Master of stealth.
Put my neon green suit on. If I'm ever in front of a green screen, I'll be invisible.
Why does Batman sound like Harrison Ford?
I don't know about that.
But I mean, like, Adam West's costume was kind of purplish, right?
Purple, yeah. A little bit.
I guess so, yeah. Well, anyway. He wasn't as muscular as Yakko, though, in this. He was.
Oh, no, definitely not. I was just like, let me compare the pictures.
Yakko is doing major gainies. So there you go.
So, yeah, this is like the third week in a row. Maybe there was a week off. I can't remember. Oh, yeah, there was the horse Mamie in between. But they're all making gainies, though. Each Warner.
Yes. Well, put that together. Put the combination of those three Warners all buff. Well, I guess we'll see that kind of in the 80s cats coming up. So, yeah. Well, let's go ahead and talk about today's episode. We're going to start off with, what is that?
Hey, kids, look up from your brain-wrecking devices for a sec. It's time for What Is That? with the Warners.
What is that?
And What Is That was written by Ted Mulcairn and Wellesley Wild. It was directed by Eric Knudsen. And in this, it starts off kind of like almost like a nature documentary. The narrator, who sounds very stuffy, stuck up, I should say, is introducing something called a hang. And the Warners come out and they want to call it a bang.
Let me ask you a personal question, announcer. Can you hang a bang and a bang hang?
Nope.
And if it crashes to the ground and you call me, then would you be a man who rang about a hang bang clang?
No, I would never call you about a hang bang clang.
So you admit it is a bang.
Yeah, they want to call it a bang, and the narrator's like, no, it's not. Eventually, an alien comes out of the Warners go away, but an alien comes out of the bushes, and the narrator gets freaked out and essentially runs away. His voice letters trail off into the distance, so the narrator's gone.
I have to rethink everything I know!
But it turns out that the alien was actually the Warners dressed up as the alien. And then an exact copy of that alien comes out of the bushes and scares the Warners. And the alien takes the bang, a.k.a. hang, and flies away in a UFO shaped like the hang. The end.
There we go.
There you go. So, I mean, cultural references. The only one I could kind of find that was sort of, I guess, one was there was a fish skeleton that got its skin back, and it reminded me of just nature documentaries, how they like to show something laying on the ground decomposing in fast motion. So it was just the reverse. The music was so beautiful that the fish came back to life. Unfortunately, it's still on the ground, but I guess it's happier for a little bit until it realizes.
Came back to life briefly.
Yes, briefly said, hey, cool music. Oh, wait, I don't have any water. Dead again. Okay. But what were some things, anything you guys liked in this first segment? Kelly, let's start with you. Deep thought.
Yeah. No. I mean, I guess I could blame it. I was watching it while I was walking on the treadmill to try and get some steps in. But no, I just didn't find it funny.
Yeah.
Or I mean, I saw what they were going for and what they were parodying. You know, like you said, the nature documentary. But the bang hang, it just wasn't. It just wasn't funny.
Yeah.
Or even really interesting. I felt like it just didn't grab me.
Yeah, I kind of agree. It seems like the writers in this one, it almost felt like they felt like they had to do this, other than they should have. Like, what was the point in doing this? It wasn't. I don't know. Like, if it was an ongoing segment, like if they threw out a bunch of these, then maybe I would. If it's an ongoing joke, then maybe I'd get it a little bit more. But it went on a long time, and it wasn't that funny, at least for me. Nathan, what about you? What do you think?
Yeah, I thought it should have stuck at the 15-second mark.
This segment was only supposed to be 15 seconds long.
I'm like, yeah, this would have been good 15 seconds. But yeah, I looked up. I like the song. I think was fine. The music there, it was written by. It's called "Hang," and it was written by Bill and Brendan Ryan, I think. Something.
Which is just the music that was played when they played the Hang.
Yeah,
just
but they were in a band with the singer of Violent Femmes.
Really?
I was like, "Who's this guy?" I was like, "Oh, he was in a band, not Violent Femmes, but it was." But it was a singer. The singer of Violent Femmes was in a band with them, so it's something.
Yeah, I didn't really like the design of the alien either in this one, but I did like the design of this alien more than the designs of the aliens in the first season. So I guess that's something.
Yeah,
but I still didn't like it. I just thought it was. It's kind of like the first season was totally weird and just. I didn't like those designs. And this one was just like, okay, it's a guy in an elephant suit. Like, what is with this alien? Maybe it was a different color or something. I don't know. It just didn't look exotic enough. In the end, I put this was not comedy. Bang, bang.
That's a podcast.
That reminds me of the song in the opening of Kill Bill, Bang, Bang.
Oh, yeah.
My baby shot me down or something like that.
Yes.
Bang, bang into your heart. Bang, bang into your heart.
That's a totally different song.
Everybody wants to. Okay.
Talking about Kill Bill.
Well, let's go. Let's just move on because we've talked about that long segment for too long.
More than 15 seconds.
Yes. Let's go ahead and talk about Mouse Madness. Mouse Madness was written by Lucas Crandalls and Timothy Nash. It was directed by Eric Knudsen. And Kelly, what happens in Mouse Madness?
Okay, well, it's about basketball. Kind of.
Yeah.
And Brain's watching a basketball game. And it's funny because Pinky's reaction is basically what anybody in my family would react as if I got really emotionally invested in a basketball game.
Egad, you're watching sports? Who are you and what have you done with the real Brain? Nerf. Seriously though, Brain, is that you? You've replaced yourself with clones so many times I can't tell.
Quiet, Pinky, you pearl and protoplasmic peon.
It is you!
One time I was actually posting about a football game on Facebook, and people were like, what is going on with you?
Someone's hacked her account.
And then it came out that, well, you know, they're supposed to show the new Star Wars trailer like halftime or at the end of the game or something. Because I was like, there was like only 20 seconds on the clock, and it's 20 minutes from still going, you know. So they're like, what?
You call that a foul? No.
Okay, I know enough to know there's not fouls in football. Right?
I didn't.
I think so. No, my sisters played high school basketball, so I actually know a little bit about basketball. But anyway, the Pinky's like, you know, are you really you, Brain? Like, what is going on? And Brain writes the score down, and then you find out he's trying to do that whole Biff Tannen Back to the Future thing where he's got this little remote control, and he's going to go back in time and bet on the game, and so he can get a lot of money, $1 trillion basically, and he wants to own a secret lair on a volcano island or something. And it became a little bit like on the Who's on First joke, and that was funny.
Or who's on stage, right?
Yeah.
The ideal version.
Yes.
Woodstock Slappy.
Woodstock Slappy, yeah.
Doesn't get better than that.
Nope. That's funny and will always remain funny. So yeah, I like that little exchange. And so you see the money slowly growing, like really slowly. Yeah. And so he's doing it a million times. And Pinky keeps asking him, you know, what's that, Brain? And he gets really annoyed. So Fluke University, they keep moving up in the ranks. And so the money gets bigger and bigger. But what Brain doesn't realize is he's causing issues in like the space-time continuum or something. It starts to really throw things out of whack. There's kind of like this soap opera drama with Pinkies.
Egad, if Pinky finds out about us, you and I will never see each other again, Pinky. Oh, Pinky. Pinky couldn't bear a life without you, Pinky. Wait.
And there's alien that is kind of like Pinky that tries to eat him.
Oh, what have you got there, Brain?
And just crazy nightmare kind of stuff going on, and Brain's, and one of them, Pinky is intelligent.
Pinky, are you pondering what I'm pondering?
I believe so, Brain. Your device must be disrupting the very fabric of the universe, creating ever more bizarre and unstable timelines. One wonders if continued use of your temporal inverter will escalate the decay until the walls of reality come crashing down round us.
And it just gets goofier and goofier. The one with the weird alien, that's one he stumbles into, and he's actually Emperor. And he's like, oh, well, I think we've done enough. Now, if we do any more, everything will implode. So there's statues of him and banners, and he's got his island, and he seems real content. But then this big monster alien, that's like kind of like Pinky, tries to eat him, and he gets sucked back into the vortex. And finally, he gets back to the lab, and then he looks real sad because Pinky's not there. But then Pinky shows up, and then basically it starts all over again. But this time he doesn't rewind the clock.
You were quite the hero, my old friend. Come, we must prepare for tomorrow night.
What are we going to do tomorrow night, Brain?
You know what? Anything that you want to do.
Why don't we take a night off and go to that paint-our-own pottery class like our therapist told us to?
No. We're taking over the world!
And and then a funny thing is that one of the basketball players was named LaMarche. And Brain's like, who's LaMarche?
I totally missed that.
Oh my goodness, you
How
did.
did I miss that?
I don't know.
This is it, Pinky. Williams makes this play, and our plan comes to fruition. Gesundheit, by the way.
Who's Williams?
Lamar shoots and misses. Gorgonzola wins.
Excuse me, who shoots?
So it helps to watch on closed caption.
Yeah.
And so Maurice LaMarche is the voice of the Brain, of course.
That's
And
so cool.
Yep. So a little inside joke there. And then I think that about covers it.
Yeah, I think there was one part that you forgot, which was the 3D.
Oh yeah.
When they go right before the end, he's going to destroy he's going to like go back and destroy it, and he goes to like this felt world where like Pinky is stop motion and the Brain is flat, and Pinky like sacrifices himself basically to while destroying it, and when he comes back and everything's destroyed, there's a moment where the Brain thinks that he's all alone and Pinky doesn't exist in the timeline anymore, and he's sad. But then Pinky's there. But it was cute to see it was cool to see, number one, that the animation style kind of combined, and also just, I don't know, I like those moments when the Brain has a little bit of humanity to him, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So that was cool. But there was references to cultural stuff. I mean, obviously, May Mania is March Madness. Mentioned Doctor Who, Doctor No, and Doctor No's. That's James Bond. Doctor Who, well, those are the Warners, Time Lords.
There was an episode that came out in November 5th, 1966 of Doctor Who.
I thought it was interesting in this one that the Brain refers to himself as a supervillain. I don't know. He's not much of a supervillain in my mind, but
he doesn't have any superpowers.
That's true. Hey, wait a second.
No, super intelligence is supposed to be a superpower, but he doesn't have super intelligence. He's only crazy.
I also, the Fluke University is for like Duke University, who I used to hate growing up, watching, because they were always in the finals. And they were always the people, you love to hate. And there was a bunch of other slightly humorous universities mentioned in the bracket right there. One of them was called Yeet U, which the word yeet is so fun to say. That's what they do with those balls. They got to yeet them. And then I realized when I looked at the bracket, the whole thing about putting Fluke up there was basically kind of doing the F-bomb because it says Fluke U on it constantly. And I thought, are they doing another F-bomb joke like they did in the previous episode?
I didn't see it like that.
Yeah,
but...
I don't know. I went, I don't know. But I don't know anymore because they already did it once in the previous one. So now I'm like, I don't know what they're doing. And but what did you guys like about this first Pinky the Brain segment? I guess we should say, what did you guys like about this Pinky the Brain segment, or not like, or whatever? Nathan, let's start with you.
There's time travel, which is fun. When things first start going wrong, Pinky speaks German.
This is all wrong.
Oh, was hast du in deinen Händen gehört?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Do you know what he says?
I did. What did he say?
I was like, I don't know. So, but my girlfriend speaks German, and so I asked her, and I was like, what does she? And she said, I don't know. Well, it was because it was very strange. It's like, what do you have in your dog brain or something? Is what it sounds like. But it turns out she's saying, what do you have in your hands brain? It just the dialect's a little weird because it doesn't but the Hinden is
so it's basically
hands.
him saying the same thing he says. What do you got there, brain?
Like,
basically.
ooh, yeah, but it's not that well. Yeah, if you wanted to just say, what do you have there? But like buses, was
das.
yeah, buses do da.
Oh,
Gehirn is brain. So yeah, so
tapestries.
yeah, buses do and din Gehirn.
Okay.
So I was having a lot of fun trying to speak German. So, I liked Brain's corrections of whom and smote, for grammatical corrections, and the stop motion was very pleasing to look at, I think. So.
Yeah. Well, Kelly, what about you? Any additional things?
No, I think I mentioned all the things that stood out.
You know what? I would have liked. You were mentioning the Back to the Future 2 thing, and I got that connection too. It was like I would have. What did I write down my notes? I said, couldn't he just wait for the whole? Yes, that's what I wrote. Couldn't he just wait for the entire March Madness or May Mania to complete and then get the entire bracket? Jump back one time.
Well, he had to build the money. He was like. Investing.
Yes.
But the thing is, in March Madness, you can bet from the beginning on each thing, and you still get like huge odds. It's like I put in the notes the odds of getting a perfect bracket is like
what do you say
9.2 quintillion.
Yes, the odds of
or
you put down the
never tell me the odds.
Yes, these were brought to us by C3PO. The odds for having a perfect bracket for the NCAA tournament only 1 in 9.2 quintillion. I can't even say it.
And that's rounded down. Although there was a professor that's like, well, if you know basketball, maybe it's only like 1 in 128 billion.
So
it's still just like
that's so there you go. That's what Brain could make a lot from just 17
he could
cents.
have but he says in the episode it only goes back 2 hours, which doesn't make sense because later on he goes back into when it was first created. So it's like they kind of.
Another thing that kind of annoyed me with this.
The episode reminded me a lot of the Simpsons Treehouse of Terror episode, too, where Homer kept hitting things prehistoric times with a toaster. Do you remember that one?
Mustn't touch, mustn't squish.
If you remember what your dad told you on your wedding day.
Yeah, but I would have really liked it if instead of being in a supervillain place that for some reason Brain wants in this show, because really, would he really want that? He would just want the world, not like to have a polluted whatever. I don't. That whole thing is messed up to me. It doesn't make any sense. But I would have loved to see him in a universe having a giant casino, and then like Pinky being there with like cosmetic enhancements or something like like that. I thought that would have been, because that's basically the same kind of idea of betting on sports and becoming incredibly rich. It totally felt like Back to the Future 2 to me, but whatever, Yeah, it didn't like it how it suddenly jumped back to like more than 2 hours at the end, because again, that's why I'm like, why wouldn't you? Because it doesn't matter, right? If you have 17 cents and he's building it, he's still betting the win and then betting the win. So he didn't have to keep
in this
doing
version, he's betting the exact like
he's
scores of each one. So he's betting the scores on each game. So like, and
but
normally
he could still have done that. He could have just written down the scores. He could have done every single bracket. He could have done every single one. That's my point. It's like he didn't have to. You could have just done it once, jump back one time back in time. This is what happens with any back in time thing. There's always going to be, in time travel stories, there's always going to be plot holes and things that do not make sense. Even when in like the Marvel films, when they tried very hard to, they
just create new universes. It's not that hard, Joey. Jeez.
Okay, well,
it's different branches. Oh my gosh. We can't because.
We can't because.
Anyway, let's go ahead and talk about the segment that we've been waiting to talk about for a long time. This is Christopher Columbusted. And Christopher Columbusted was written by Lucas Crandalls and Timothy Nash, directed by Eric Knudsen. Nathan, what happens here in Christopher Columbusted?
Okay, well, the Warners are sailing on a ship. We get some little nautical puns and some poop jack jokes.
Yeah.
Human wacko, man the poop deck. Oh, this nautical sketch was a great idea to get around the censors.
They get called over by the captain, who turns out to be Christopher Columbus, and through some research that Yakko had brought from 500 years in the future, we find out that Christopher Columbus was not a great person necessarily.
He enslaved how many people? He was arrested by who? And he has his own holiday. Why? Oh, there's just too much bad stuff in here to fit into a single sketch.
But it just might fit in a song.
We get a little song even. So we hear in 1492 what happened. So Christopher Columbus doesn't like these Warners singing on his ship. So he, kicks them off the boat, puts them on a deserted island, makes them walk the plank, and maybe get eaten by sharks. All three of those things. While he sails off to find land, and he's looking for Asia, and he's like, "All right, I think we found it." Turns out it's not Asia; it's probably Cuba or something. The Warners are there. They've actually taken the sharks using some bologna and Yakko's slack to pull the boat so they can get to each island quicker than Christopher Columbus. And they have some more verses to sing to Christopher Columbus about how he's not a great person. And we find out that he's not a great person.
He's not a good sailor. He's a bad sailor.
Yeah, he doesn't.
And
know
why
how
does
to
he have a
navigate well.
day?
Yeah, why does he have his own day? The Warners keep asking these things over and over again.
In 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue.
Oh, yeah! He had 3 ships, he sailed from Spain. A first-rate hat top, a second-rate brain.
He sailed by night, he sailed by day. Will somebody tell him he sailed the wrong way?
He's cruel, he rules through thuggery.
Yet he's praised for the New World's discovery.
Are we sure he deserves his own day? We'd have found this stuff anyway.
So we finally get to what? He's down to 2 ships now. We get our last verse, which is just saying, like, he's never even stepped foot in the USA. Why does he have his own day? Is basically how the verse ends. And I think that's basically how the cartoon ends too.
Yeah. Well, we've been waiting for this one for a long time. I mean, let's see, references to other stuff. Can't really think about.
There's a poem called 1492.
It's
in 1492.
Which I only knew that Columbus sailed the ocean blue in 1492. That's all I.
Yeah, that's the
1492. Columbus sailed the ocean blue. That's all I knew. That's it, right? Isn't there?
Well, there's more to it.
Oh,
I put a link to the entire one if you want to read it. But.
No, thank you. But I don't know, Kelly. What did you think about this this Columbus segment?
I got excited when I thought it was going to be the Columbus episode, but it just wasn't funny. I thought it was kind of cute when the pun counter went off into the water.
Yeah.
But I don't know, and I guess it kind of reminded me of what's the one with the peg leg guy in the original series? The Moby Dick, is it the Moby Dick one or
there's been a few. There's
a couple.
Was the Pirates of
private property.
Yeah.
What's his
matter
name?
of a modern animated cartoon individual.
Yeah, that may be the one I'm thinking of. That's another song I like, but that's also on the original soundtrack.
And of course, there's Magellan with the that.
Yeah, I was thinking Magellan
song.
Yeah, I just didn't. It didn't feel fresh or exciting, or I know they were trying to bring awareness to the fact that Columbus is a very controversial figure now, and I think most people, or a lot of people, don't even observe the holiday anymore. They're everybody's trying to move away from that.
Yeah.
But it just wasn't really interesting.
Yeah. Well, we're just a few years away, I think, from calling it Indigenous Peoples Day, probably officially.
I think some people already do that, though.
Yeah, they do. I don't think it's like is it like it's just a coinciding holiday more than...
Yeah, I don't think it's ever going to never be Christopher Columbus. There's always going to be, because it's not going to be illegal to say, like, Christopher Columbus Day. It's going to be like, oh, yeah, if you want to celebrate Christopher Columbus Day, you can do that. It's fine.
I'd rather get sales on mattresses on Columbus Day than Indigenous Peoples Day. That just seems like so cheap. It just seems cheap to have like sales on Indigenous Peoples Day. Columbus Day, it's like, sure, yeah, whatever. Dress some guy up in an explorer's costume.
Sure. So yeah, I think there'll always be, Columbus Day. I don't think that's ever going to go away. But I think more and more every year there'll be more and more people saying Indigenous People Day instead of Columbus Day.
Well, and I think it's fine to necessarily call it Columbus Day as long as it's in context of what a horrible person he was.
Exactly.
And he wasn't that, the main thing that we thought of as, kids growing up when you learn about a Columbus is, and he thought he was in Asia, like that was the,
he called them Indians.
He was kind of dumb. They never talked about the fact that he starved people or, tried to get gold from, they don't talk about that stuff.
Bad at math, can't figure out how big the world is.
But yeah, I guess, I think Columbus Day started off as like an Italian Pride Day, basically. It
was because there was so much anti-Italian,
right?
But did you know that an Italian found America, and then they could,
exactly. It's like, haha. So we are important.
Oh, okay. So we shouldn't hate Italians. Let's hate these other races.
Exactly. Hey, there's plenty other people to hate.
Yeah.
Look at Columbus. He hated a bunch of people.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's learn from Columbus. Don't hate the Italians. Hate other people. So it's just like.
Well, I did think that the song was a little. The tempo was just too slow. I know that they were going off of the poem, but I'm just like, could you just put it up half a beat or something like that? Like, just like, ugh. Like, come on, dun, 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 dun. Like, bring it up a little bit. Let's have some fun with this song a little bit. Yeah. Nathan, Kelly, anything else to say about this song?
It reminded me just now. I just remember there was a song in the Pinky the Brain one that they don't even credit in the. Like during his whole going back in time, there's this like cool song going on. I was like, ooh, I like this song. But it's just not credited in the credits at all. And
you mean in this episode?
Yeah, in this episode when Brain was going back in time, the last segment.
I didn't even hear a song.
It's like it's playing while he's going back in time. Like, ooh, what does that do? And he's, ooh, what does that do? Pinky's saying that over and over again. But it's just like in the background,
remix.
there's this cool like remix song going on. I'm like, what is this?
Ooh, what do you got there?
That one more time, and I will go back to before your conception and prevent your parents' meet cute.
I will say a couple more things. One thing I didn't understand about this Columbus song was when Wacko said "knock it off, Yakov." I could just think of Yakov Smirnoff, but I didn't know why he was calling Yakko Yakov, unless it's.
I think that I'm guessing they all had different names, like Wakov and.
Did they say that though earlier?
I don't think they ever announced their names.
And also they mentioned Scuttlebutt at the beginning, right? Mm-hmm. And which was funny because Wacko says he said Scuttle, and I thought that was kind of funny. But Scuttlebutt, like the modern reference to it is rumors and stuff like that. But at the time, back then, a scuttlebutt was something on a ship that would carry like a keg of water, basically, fresh water to drink. So it didn't make any sense for Columbus saying, knock this scuttlebutt off or something like that in the context of a navigator. So that kind of bothered me. The squishing of the animals bothered me, even though the animals got their revenge. By the time the first he hits a crab, and I'm like, whatever, it's a crab. But then he hits a bird, and he hits a baby bird,
a turtle,
and a turtle.
Yeah, a baby sea turtle. Yeah,
yeah. I'm like, this isn't cool. I'm glad. I guess if anyone's going to do it, it should be a bad person like Columbus. But still, I didn't like it either way because it was still done as you're supposed to laugh at it. I guess it didn't make me laugh. There's another reference to Yakko's World. If I could. I'm tired
Need a
of
pun counter for that.
Asia! Asia is still a wager, pal.
This is Hispaniola.
Which is modern-day Haiti and the Republic Dominican.
Don't call it that. You know who will start singing you know what.
What was that?
Nothing!
Jeez, I am so tired of them talking about Yakko's World in these episodes, and especially in the second season. They're talking about it all the time. And it's just like, it's almost as if they just like, well, what's Animaniacs, everybody? Yakko's World. Okay, well, let's make sure to talk about that because that's what
Yeah, what did people like in the original series?
Sure, they liked Yakko's World, and they didn't like anything else. So let's make sure we talk about it a lot. They'll love it.
It is a lot. Like, I think every single, I don't know if for sure
it's at least
in
3 or 4 in the last 4 episodes. It seems like they've done it at least.
Like even in the first episode that he was in the ship, but that was for Yakko's universe,
yeah.
So I think like in every one, there's like a reference to a song of Yakko's original, and at least,
and just
especially
like Yakko's the know-it-all singer. Yakko's the know-it-all singer. It's like I'm just tired of the Yakko's World thing. To me, it's just as cheap as if somebody says like, "Oh, the best joke in Animaniacs, fingerprints."
I'm tired of that too.
Yeah, exactly. It just seems like the same thing every time. It just felt like lazy. It just I didn't like that at all, and I didn't like how I think it was Dot mentions that somebody mentions they weren't able to mention the indigenous peoples, the Arawak and Taino or something like that, and they said, "Let's do it right now." So let's sing this last verse. And they never mention.
Yeah, they don't do any of the things that they're just talking about.
So they say, let's do that right now. And they don't do it right then. What? Mm-hmm. She said, let's do it anyway. Yeah, let's do it anyway. They didn't sing about the 750,000 indigenous people. Let's do it anyway. No, let's not. It's like
there was even like I was like, oh, what is the rhyme that
yeah no, they didn't have one. It just felt like it felt disjointed, and it felt like, guys, what is going on here? Such a I'm sorry to keep talking, but it just felt like just such a I've been looking forward to this segment for a long time.
Yeah, it seems like I might have enjoyed it more if it was just the song, but also especially if the song was a little bit more higher pace. Did you see who did the voice of Christopher Columbus?
I did not. The voice did sound a little bit familiar.
It was Ken Marino. So if you know like Party Down or things like that, I don't know. He's a comedian.
Okay, Party Down. I know I've seen Party Down. Okay. Yes. Party Down. He was in what's the other? You just mentioned it? I think
he's in like Children's Hospital.
The other two,
like that.
Is that what it's called? No,
maybe?
The one with the. What's the show on HBO?
There's lots of shows on HBO
where their brother is the Justin Bieber guy. Did you mention the show?
I haven't seen that show.
No. Oh, darn it. It's called The Other Two. Well,
So,
he is very funny.
Very funny.
Yeah, he is a very funny guy.
I did like one of his lines of instead of going west by southwest, I'll go south by southwest or something like that. I thought that was, but that's.
I mean, what a disappointment. I just, yeah. I feel sorry for him and like Lauren Lapkus, who were like was in a Pinky and the Brain one, and I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, Lauren. this one was like, if I was an actor and I heard I was going to be in an Animaniacs episode, right? I'd be so psyched. I'd be like, oh, right. And then to see the finished product,
even if you weren't an actor, and you found out you were going to be
it'd be even better. But to see the final product be like this, I felt it was just so disappointing. I was upset at how not good this one was, and how it could have been so good, and it almost gets there. Like everything concept wise, like with a lot of these Animaniacs segments, I go, oh, it's a good concept. Let's see how it's executed, and it's never executed properly, or very rarely. You know, it has its moments, and some of them do hit the mark. But boy, this one really missed it. I'm tired of talking about it. I'm sure our listeners are as well.
I think this was better than the comic book issue that we had to do. I don't know if you remember that one. That was the very first comic book we did. Had a Christopher Columbus segment in it, and it was also not good. But it didn't even touch on any of the like at least educational things of all the horrible things that Christopher Columbus did. So at least you have that going on.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, let's go ahead and talk about the last segment right here. This is called Fake Medicines. And Fake Medicines was written by Wellesley Wild, Kathleen Chen, and Brian Polk. It was directed by Brett Barron. And in this one, Yakko, Wacko, and Dot are basically showing off a new medicine called Zobroflex, I believe. And I think I was kind of unfamiliar exactly what this is supposed to do. I think it just helps you remember every 15 minutes that you took it every 15 minutes.
No, just remembers helps you know that 15 minutes has passed.
Yes, because you take it every 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And there you go. And it gives you lots of bad side effects, including my favorite one, which is the fedora one, which is just that was funny. Kind of random things.
Blurred vision, dry mouth, rapid and irreversible aging, permanent fedora, penguin teeth, one long hair in your armpit, restless legs, and fear of clocks. The clocks have faces!
I did like the line. Also, they say to talk to your doctor or an open-minded veterinarian. So it's like that's funny, but it's very quick. It's not much to it. It's kind of a bit of time filler. But what did you guys think about this Fake Medicines one? Kelly, let's start with you.
I thought the fedora part was funny too, and but otherwise it was just basically making fun of prescription medicine commercials.
Yep. And Nathan, what about you?
I like that clocks have faces because it's true.
It's true.
It was. I think it was just the right amount of length because.
Yeah, this one didn't
15
seem too long.
It was short enough that it was good.
Yeah, it felt like the first. If the first segment of the show was as short as this one, I might have liked it a little bit more. I did like seeing Acme Labs at daytime. The Warners work there.
Yeah,
they have part-time jobs at Acme Labs.
Perfect.
But yeah, there you go. Well, let's go ahead and get to our water tower rating. Out of 5 water towers, how many would you give this episode of the Animaniacs Reboot? Nathan, let's start with you.
I'm going to give it 3. I'll give it 3. Comparing it to the very first episode of the series of this reboot, it's about that level. So, and it had Rachel McFarlane in it again, the sister of.
I forget. We can't say
alien.
that she's only been in Seth MacFarlane things because I forget who it was on Twitter. They say correct this. That's not true. She's been in this and this and this. And this
I didn't
this,
say
this.
she was only in. She just also happens to be in all these other ones.
She's always got a job in a Seth MacFarlane related project. She knows Wellesley Wild. She's got an open door policy. She just walks in the door. You got anybody for me to voice today? I'll do it. She says a couple words.
She was the alien, yeah. At the
grabs a
beginning.
paycheck, goes away. Kelly, what about you?
I hate to do it, but I gotta do a 2 again. I think I did 2 last week, and it's always funny because I feel like I'm more generous than you guys are typically. But these last 2 episodes just have not. Well, I think it was the last episode that I also gave it to.
Yeah, you gave the last one a 2.
Yeah, it's just not. It's not funny. I mean, it's like did I take some Zobraflex or something, and now I've lost my sense of humor, or are these just really not so funny? So, yeah, I mean, of the segments, I like the Pinky and the Brain one the best. You know, if some of the other segments were stronger, I would definitely rank it higher. And I always almost seem to like the Pinky and the Brain one the best. I felt like it was a pretty strong one, but I mean, there's 3 other segments that just kind of weighed it down, you know?
Yeah, totally. And yeah, I'm going to give it a 2 as well. Just because, yeah, it just wasn't funny. And then there's these moments of just plot wise, I'm just like, why are they're not doing what it doesn't make any sense. they're either saying they're going to sing a verse about this and then they don't, or Pink.
That really bothers you.
Yeah, it really does. You said you were going to.
Mm-hmm.
And the Brain saying this goes back 2 hours. Oh wait, no, it goes back 2 weeks. You know,
yeah, and it seemed like he could have just destroyed that at any time, I guess, because it just took him back there. So, like in the scene before that, when he was fighting the Pinky to get it back, it could have just destroyed then. It would have been fine.
Yeah,
but
I think.
But we did get cool animation after that. So.
Exactly. I feel like I'm being generous by giving this one too.
Wow.
I feel like it should be lower, but I feel that's just darn mean because, like I said, I like the general concepts of these on paper, like the just blurb, like in a sentence.
Christopher Columbus. Yeah, you were excited for that.
Oh man,
I think that was also just the expectations of it.
Yeah, well, that's going to happen. Now I'm just like a mean Star Wars fan.
Oh no!
Oh, it's the worst. They're the worst.
I'm a nice Star Wars fan. Just there's certain topics you gotta stay away from with me.
Well, I guess let's go ahead and get to our contact information. Nathan, where can people find you online?
Best place is Twitter. I'm on there all the time. I'm constantly posting things.
I know. I'm like, Nathan, it's 3 a.m. Go to sleep.
So yeah, I can't stop it. Django FT, that's me. But yeah, if you contact me, I'll probably.
How many followers are you up to now, Nathan? Here?
Oh man, I have to stop checking because I'm constantly checking, and it must be up to like 50 or 100. I don't know.
I mean, yeah,
somewhere between those.
If we can at least, I mean, folks, we've almost been doing this podcast for like 6 years, and Nathan's plugging his Twitter every week.
I'm constantly posting things,
constantly tweeting. Follow the guy. Get him 100 followers.
I do have 100 followers. So.
Ooh, man, well, we passed 100. We should.
I just got
had a whole episode dedicated to that when that happened. Okay, well, Kelly, what about you?
I'm also on Twitter. You go to Princess, YODA, PRNCSS, or email me, Kelly at BigShinyRobot.com.
Okay, and that's for the Animanicast. We're on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram, and of course our Patreon, patreon.com/Animanicast. That's where you can get great Animaniacs creators commentaries with Tom Ruegger each week, and of course bonus audio with us. And if you're willing to pay a little bit extra, you get to have handmade decals with Animaniacs characters on them, or even signed Animaniacs trading cards from the 90s. Ooh. Signed by Tom Ruegger. So that's a collectible you can only get over at our Patreon. And of course, you can join us at our discussion. We're a proud member of the RetroZap Podcast Network, so you can head on over to the RetroZap Discord server. The welcome link is discord.animanicast.com. Head on over there, talk about Animaniacs or anything else in pop culture that you'd like. Well, that'll do it for today's episode. So, for Nathan and Kelly, this is Joey saying good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
This podcast is not endorsed by Warner Brothers or Amblin Entertainment and is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. Animaniacs, Tiny Toon Adventures, Freakazoid, the Warner Brothers logo, all names, pictures, and sounds are registered trademarks and or copyrights of their respective trademark and copyright holders. All original content of this podcast is the intellectual property of the Animanicast unless otherwise indicated.
We're taking over the world!